Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tori Talk. As you see, again today, we are in the lounge, and I am here with my good sis, media personality, Leah Henry of Leah's Lemonade. I love her. You guys know that I'm always talking about her and always showing you things when we do stuff together. So I really am so excited to see you and have you here.
I'm excited to be here. First of all, the hospitality is off the chain. Okay, I walk in here, they got lemons on the set. They got little drinks. I almost said liquor, but we're doing light sips today.
We're having wine.
Yes,
We're classy
yes.
ladies. We drink wine here.
Howard women, esteemed women. Come on. Clank.
Cheers to that. Ooh, I love that sound. You should have heard it earlier when we popped that thing. I was like,
Tori Talk. Who got the tea? Who got the tea? Yeah. Tori Talk. Who got the tea? She got the tea. Yeah. Anything you need to know. Tori Talk. Just tune into the show. Tori Talk.
best sound in the whole
Music
wide
to
world.
my ears.
Now, what I want to talk about today with you, I don't know if you saw, I'm pretty sure you did, but when I did my last episode with Keisha, we had a conversation about the state of women in the workforce, Black women in particular. And if you guys didn't catch that, make sure you go back and take a look. But I remember, just like Keisha, you were very vulnerable in putting your status on your page for all of your followers to see. And I was like, damn, I wish Leah was here. Because I was like trying to figure out how I could do like we do a Zoom or some sort of thing so that I could like get you on so I could talk about this with you. And then, because God be looking out for me, I saw you were like, I'm back in the city. I was like, yes, ma'am. So now I can have this conversation with you. So first, let's talk about that. And tell me, so you were here. I would see you every day almost on Fox 5 giving us the celebrity dish. And then you got a job opportunity. And then you moved away. So let's start there.
Yeah, I mean, so I went to Howard University 2013 through 2016, and I had been in the DMV area since 2013. So, 13 years. I spent most of my time growing relationships, building a brand, building media connections, and working in miscellaneous places like throughout the DMV as far as media is concerned. And, I had been at KYS for 8 years at the time of me leaving. And, honestly speaking, I watched several opportunities that I felt like I could have done or was qualified for not be given to me, and not even given to me. Like, I feel like I worked hard enough and earned consideration at least. Yeah. And there were just opportunities that I was passed up for that I felt like, okay, Leah, maybe leaving will give you an opportunity to be able to come back and possibly be looked at for these opportunities. Shout out to Autumn Joy, who is another personality here, but she was like, Leah, you don't ever want to look back and be a permanent part-timer. And so I was like, that always stuck with me. She was like, there's people in this area who have been part-time at these stations, at these TV stations, at these entities for forever, and they're comfortable with that. But if your ceiling is to grow, you have to be comfortable with leaving. And I never saw myself leaving the DMV. Like I said, I lived here 13 years. I have a place here. I'm comfortable here. I feel like I know the area. I have connections here. And so it was really hard for me to leave. But I always thought about, Leah, what will it be if you decide that you stay? Yeah. You'll sit back every day and wonder, did I make the right choice?
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to look at my life, especially because I'm single. I don't have kids. I don't have anything stopping me from pursuing anything that I want to do. So for me, it was like, okay, Leah, you got to go. Like, and let's be very clear. Girl, I ain't never thought about traveling to Columbus, Ohio. I ain't never had no intention of visiting. I don't have family in Ohio. Honey, Columbus, Ohio was the last place on my list.
I've been there one time. The most boringest drive I have ever taken in my days. And I cannot tell you anything that happened. I was there for a wedding. I was in and out.
Girl, I mean, the thing about it is, don't get me wrong, I think Columbus is a nice city. I was met with a lot of adversity there. A lot of things happened to me.
Really?
Girl, So much happened to me when I was there. That's why I created my podcast, Okay and with Leah, because I do feel like people saw me, like you said, in the DMV. They saw this brand. I was doing these interviews. I'm on TV. And when I went to Columbus, things got very quiet. And I feel like people didn't, well, one, I couldn't share because it's like, you can't come on the internet when you're working at a place and be like, I hate it here and they treat me like shit. And, you know, like, you can't do that, right?
This is my job.
Right. This is my livelihood. And I just picked up my whole life and moved here.
Yeah.
But I did. I struggled in Columbus because I was met with a lot of opposition there, particularly from a boss. Who hired me, if I'm being frank. You know, we just did not see eye to eye, and it became contentious. And, you know, in my first year there, I feel like I spent the first year in Columbus regretting moving from the DMV, if I'm being honest.
Oh,
No, and now I can look at it 3 years later and say that, like,
still.
I grew a lot, and there was a lot of things I had to go through there. But in the moment, I was like, I had it all. What it felt like was all. You know, I worked so hard. I felt like I was finally getting the recognition. I felt like I was finally getting to a space where, you know, my brand was getting out there. And so it was really hard. I had a lot of seasons of a lot of different thoughts, feelings, opinions when it came to Columbus. But I moved, I took a chance, and one thing I won't say I regret is doing it. Because again, if I'd have stayed here, probably still been passed up for opportunities in these places I was working, I would have sat here and been like, see, I should have took the Columbus, you know what I mean?
Right,
At least
I should have left.
I can stomach the fact that I went.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what life is about. And I think, you know, due to social media and due to like the perception of what everybody thinks, we move with that when we make decisions about our careers and our lives.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, like I went and I failed, and that's okay. Like we don't all win.
But you didn't fail though.
Well,
You didn't fail.
I guess, but that's relative, right? To who we're speaking to. Because like what, you know, and again, what is failure in this business? But like anybody who's made it will tell you about how they failed, like how stuff just didn't work out the way they thought it was going to work out. And I'm okay with like, I have stomached, processed, grieved, and had my moment about, you know what, Columbus was difficult, but I grew. I met incredible people. I have friends there that like I love, and I'm so grateful they're in my life. And I feel like it happened for a reason. But did I love that chapter of my life? Hell no.
Of course not. I mean, it was a tough time.
It was.
And then, like you said, from being here, and like this is, I mean, I know you're not from the DMV area, but I mean, at this point, from college up until, I mean, this is your home.
I always tell people I was raised in Texas, but the DMV made me a woman.
Yeah, I was
Period,
like,
point blank.
You kind of,
I
you
came
came
into
up here.
myself.
Yeah.
In the DMV. So I have like a very deep love for this area, the people here. You know, I did my first radio shift in the DMV. I had my first media job in the DMV. You know, like I had the first man break my heart. You know what I mean? Like
everything.
All these things that have developed me in different spaces of my life have happened in the DMV area. So I'm very blessed for my, like, the support I have here. It's unlike anything else. And even coming back, just the support I felt. Like as soon as I announced I got laid off, girl, so you come back to DC? So you come back to DC? You come back to DMV? So, you know, there is a love of this area that I just genuinely have, for sure.
Now, let's get into that. So you said you were in Columbus for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's
well,
not
2
years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily going how you wanted it to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you get the news that you are being laid off. Let's start there.
Mm-hmm. So the interesting thing about the Columbus thing was I did not love Columbus. So I was already in a space of, am I staying here or do I leave? Because I had a 2-year contract and it was up technically March of 2025. So at the top of last year, I did a fast and I was like, God, please show me. I said, because if you want me to stay here, then maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. Maybe that's, you know, like even if I don't love it, maybe there's something I'm supposed to learn in this season. And I want to make sure that if that is the case, I'm hearing you. So I did a fast at the top of the year. And it was immediately clear, you got to go. Like immediately.
Immediately?
Yeah, like my pastor's first sermon of the year was like, you gotta go or something like that, or like get out. Like it was something super
Isn't that
extreme.
crazy how it's like every time you go looking for an answer, you like, so that would be what you preach.
Right. And then a 4-week series about why you need to get up out of what you in.
Oh, not 4 weeks.
Yeah,
4 weeks. It was clear.
It was clear as day. So I said, okay, God, I'm leaving Columbus, right? And so, you know, I had until March until I assume, and keep in mind, this is my first full-time radio job. So like, I'm not privy to what the conversations are. Should someone have reached out to me earlier? Should, because no one had said anything. And so I was thinking, maybe because the boss that hired me was no longer with the company, I was like, maybe it's just like a administrative, miss site, right? No one's paying attention. And so, because I know several media personalities who are like, baby, my contract has been over, but I'm still sitting in my seat. So I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, maybe just no one has really peaked. Like, maybe just no one is, paying attention. And so I said, okay, let me get to March. And then I had my lease until May of that year. So I was like, okay, maybe I can finesse. Maybe I can see, maybe I can kind of BS and pretend that I'm really thinking about this. And then, once we get to it's May, I'm going to be like, nah, I'm out. And then I'm going to leave. So I had this whole plan in my head, right? But that's why God is funny, because you give him your plans and you laugh. So I got a message from the general manager on a Sunday, which I should have, like, in hindsight, all of these things, like, in hindsight, it's like, okay, girl, you should have seen the writing on the wall, but I didn't think about it. But I get a message from my general manager, and she's like, hey, did you see my calendar invite for a meeting at 9 a.m? And I was like, oh, hey, the Grammys was on last night. It's a really big night. Like,
I gotta focus.
I
got work to do.
Yeah, I gotta come in. I gotta get a lot of audio. I gotta, like, my show, I gotta really prep. This is music's biggest night.
Right.
We are the radio station. Like,
right.
I gotta prep. So could we move the meeting? And she was like, no. And I was like, that's unlike her. She's sensible. Like, okay. But again, I'm not thinking anything of it. And I had a radio mentor because I'm thinking she wants to talk my contract.
Right.
So I'm like, I called my radio mentor and I was like, yeah, this is what's going on. And she was like, it's kind of weird that they just want to immediately talk. Like, you can't reschedule it. Like, that's kind of weird. And again, I should have, like, again, in hindsight, thought about it, but it just didn't cross my mind. I just didn't think I was getting laid off. So, I come in early to, like, prep my show so that way I could still have this meeting. And, I remember there was something going wrong with the boards, and I was helping someone who was in there with the boards, and, my GM kind of, like, waves at me. She's like, come on. And I'm like, give me 1 second. Like, girl, come on. Like,
I have a show.
Right, I'm trying to help, I'm trying to do my job. So, I get all this stuff prepared, which, in hindsight kind of pisses me off, but this is a radio thing. They don't let you, if they know.
Because you could have told me Sunday, so I didn't have to come in on Monday. I mean, personally, it would have been nicer. So I don't come in here and do all of this work, and then you're like, oh, yeah, let's have a chat. Our final chat.
Yeah. So she brings me in. She's like, hey, it's your last day here. We did layoffs. And I was like, well, the first question I did was it something that I did? She's like, no, it's company-wide. There's, there's a certain percentage of people being let go today. And I was like, okay. And so, they walked me out like I was a
Oh, not the perp wall.
Yeah, the perp wall.
Lord.
And they're rushing me. And I'm like, bro, like, I got stuff on this computer.
I didn't even have to come here today. You made me come here.
So, but then I was pissed because all that work I did for the Grammys.
Right.
But whatever. Anyway, all that said, and the first thing I did was got on the internet like that morning.
It was that morning?
Yeah, that morning I got on the internet and I had a video. It's funny enough, I had a video that I had shot in Columbus before I moved there. So when I was in talks with them about coming, I was like, maybe I should go visit the city before I decide I'm going to move here. So one weekend, and most people don't even know this, I just packed my shit up and went to Columbus to go see what it was like and go visit, go to the station, just kind of go see Columbus to see, like, is this something I really could do or really want to do?
Right.
And I was driving around and I was like, let me just make content. And there was this big sign downtown that said, thank you, Columbus. And so I said, this is going to be the video that I post when I get #1 ratings. Mm-hmm. This will be like the video and, I'll have it.
Right.
And that never happened. And that was the video I posted to announce that I got laid off. So it said, thank you, Columbus. And I was like, thank you guys for, making my radio dreams come true. Thank you for the people who supported me, who listened every day. Thank you for all of the people who have supported me along this journey. But unfortunately, today was my last day. And I got so many comments because, I wasn't the only person laid off. Right. I had several friends who lost their jobs that day too. And I think people were just so I just felt no shame about it. It's not like we lost our jobs because we did something bad.
Right.
Like, we lost our jobs because the company had to downsize. Like, it's, it's a part of this game. And I also think in my time in radio, I've probably survived 4 layoffs in between different companies. I've watched people be in this predicament. You know what I mean? Now, during this economy, different story. But I have watched people experience this. And so I've been blessed, you know, throughout my career to still have jobs when other people were in my predicament trying to figure it out. So, you know, I just looked at it like, God, you're so funny. Because, like, I thought I was going to get to pick. Right. I thought I was going to get to walk out and tell everybody this is how I'm coming out and I'm done. And
kiss my tail.
Yep. let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Yeah, like I was ready to say my goodbyes and I was ready to do it the way that I thought.
On your terms.
But I think that was God humbling me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because this is not how you are having all this faith and energy about my will when you think you get to be in control of it. Mm-hmm. But what does it look like when I take from you what you think you get to do? And I said, I can't even be mad because, you know, I feel like I asked God and he told me clear as day, you're not going to stay there. But he didn't say how. He didn't say when. He didn't say what. And I mean, it was a month before my contract was over, so it didn't kill me. There was a possibility if I walked away anyway that I would be in this predicament anyway. But to be real with you, I think in this economy, it sounds a lot better to say I got laid off than I just quit the job because I ain't like it. And in this economy.
And see, that's what was so jarring to me. So when I first started, like I think, you know, with the layoff conversation, and even for me, I think in 2025, across the entire spectrum, everybody's jobs, when people came in and things changed, every company across the board, no matter your field, were looking to make significant cuts. Yeah. Rolling back, things that they had, from DEI, whatever they want to call it, like all of that stuff was just completely, jobs are just being completely wiped off the board. Yeah. And I think, I personally was in a situation where every single day I was wondering if they were going to call me. Mm-hmm. And in the field that I'm in, they don't really call you to say you getting fired. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really the job that I had up until recently. Yeah. So it was like, damn, like, I feel this. And then I see so many women like you being vulnerable in there and telling their stories about that happening. And it was just, every day was up in the air. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how you feel about that. Because, like, yes, the company had to make cuts. But across the board in 2025, like, as you look at the numbers, Black women out of the workforce, massive numbers. More than we've ever seen since we've been in the workforce. Mm-hmm. And it was like, wow, this is happening. And then it's happening to so many people who are phenomenal, And
I don't think it's by accident, if I'm being honest. I think the DEI, rollbacks affected Black men, but persistently Black women. And I feel like, if I'm being honest, as far as the election is concerned, it's kind of like a telltale sign. It was like, y'all didn't win, she didn't win, y'all not gonna win. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, I was at the top of kind of this snowball of layoffs for Black women. So I feel like I'm kind of watching from the top, and just looking down at all the damage that started on my head as like a little snowball and flew down, and it's still rolling, by the way. And it's sad to me because, one, I think what we see in the current economic landscape is that it's intentional that people are getting rid of Black women positions. It's very intentional, but also that it was performative. Mm-hmm. I think at the time of the death of, George Floyd, we saw a lot of companies make a lot of moves in the name of diversity and equity. And so they put a lot of dollars in that. And when we look at entities that are Black and how they've had to scale down and how some of these companies have had to merge with other companies, it is impacting Black entities and Black people in the workforce, Black women in the workforce drastically more than others. And so, it's alarming to me because we're getting to a space now where there's rarely any positions, but there's a whole lot of us. Yeah. And so even the media landscape is changing a lot. Like when I got laid off, every woman on in the Midwest got laid off that day in the midday position. We were all women except one. and there was one man who was doing a midday position, but there was 3 women of the areas that got let go. And so it's alarming. It's alarming to me. It's I don't know if scary is the word I want to use, because I don't know if I want to like identify in scary.
Yeah.
I think for me it's just telling, and I think you have to, if you're not paying attention, then what are you looking at? You know what I'm saying? Like it's very jarring, and I don't know if Black media will ever recover from this time, because I saw a very notable entertainment host that at one point I aspired to be like on Thread saying, you know what, I just broke down today and applied at Trader Joe's.
Oh, wow.
This girl used to be on every carpet, used to make
Right.
viral moments, used to be someone that I used to be like, oh, I could be like her.
Yeah.
And she's on the internet saying, it's gotten so real for me that I am going to go work at Trader Joe's, which, let's be clear, I don't have a problem with that. Like, I've always been a hustler.
You can make a lot of money at Trader Joe's. I'm just saying Trader Joe's got good benefits.
Okay.
I've looked across all spectrums.
Okay. No, and I mean, you got to do what you got to
Yeah.
do. But I think that's just telling. Someone who was booked and busy is now going, okay, what alternative do I have to survive?
And then I think, what's too that is so interesting for, us as a community. Mm-hmm. One, people only care about the most recent thing that you've done.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you want to talk about something that you did 3-4 years ago, it's like, oh, that's cute. Mm-hmm. What did you do yesterday? What did you do last month? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then what you said about it being a space where we'll never recover, like, let's dig into that a little bit, because I don't think that people who may not be in, the field that you're in can really understand just how tough of a job and fickle of a job the media space is. And it's very little positions. I mean...
Well, then make it Black. It's even smaller.
Right.
It's even smaller. Yeah, I don't think we ever will recover. And I think it's hard because a lot of Black entities really don't have money. A lot of Black entities do not have the dollars. And these companies that were being performative during the George Floyd era were funding Black companies. And so there were more opportunities to be had because people had funding to pay folk.
Yeah.
Now they don't. So it is really a awkward time. I'll give you an example. A lot of people talked about this online. The NAACP Image Awards, they put out a post saying that they were looking for a host for their podcast as they led up to the show, which was this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
And the requirement was you applied via application and then you did a video to audition. Well, they hired Jamil Hill, which we know she didn't do an audition tape, and we know she didn't do no application.
Yeah.
And so a lot of journalists were upset because it was like, that was a waste of our time. You know what I mean? And so obviously, situations like that are annoying. Like, listen, I was one of the people that put in an application and interviewed for it, right? And, but that just goes back to my point. It's just like these entities really do not have, now, granted, to have a Jamil Hill, you have some type of coin.
Yeah, you had to pay.
Yeah. Like, she got paid. But, point being is these opportunities are few and far between. Because I've seen so many people in the comments who did apply to it, looking for opportunities. And so it's just so unfortunate because it's really going to warp the way that journalism works. And also, journalism and media has also been, I'd say tainted. Some people won't say tainted. Some people will say turning in a different direction as far as like influencers go, right? Like, already like the opportunities were already slim because you're battling Olandria, who's literally on a reality show about falling in love, to be on a red carpet when I have a host of resume and skills to say that I deserve this opportunity. But who are they going to pick? Olandria, because everybody loves Olandria, or Leah, the girl who probably could do a good interview but doesn't have as many followers and impressions and reach as Olandria. But what makes it right and qualified for the job? And at that point, there goes a conversation of ethics, So that's why I said I think this turn of events is going to make media interesting. I think a lot of upcoming media is going to have to do it alone. You're really going to have to build by yourself in order. Because also, media doesn't make stars anymore.
Yeah.
It used to make, like, being on a radio station really used to be people's bread and butter. Like, Donnie Simpson is a perfect example. Like, he is a star in his own right. I love Donnie. He's amazing. But, like, you know, he was on radio, and radio helped build him, and then he was on TV, and, like, those things.
And it was a different time when he was on radio and on TV. But that was when you would see him only there.
But it was vehicles to help him become the Donnie Simpson. You feel me? Like, now it's so much harder to be a part of these entities. And I can't remember who I was talking to the other day. Oh, I was talking to someone who works in PR for a large black publication, and she was like, Leah, what you don't know in these rooms is these companies don't want any more stars. They don't want to build stars because they don't want you to be above the brand.
Oh.
So it's easier to hire an Alandria for a one-off occasion that still comes back to our brand than hiring a Leah who's super talented, who could build this thing all the way up, but also build herself right on over the brand.
Right.
So these companies are starting to purposely not invest in talent in the same way, which is haterish to me, but whatever.
I mean, and it's tough, though, too, because, you know, we were at Howard at the exact same time, you know, and I was broadcast journalism. I believe you were.
I was too.
Yeah, you were the same. And it was like, you know, I knew some of the stuff they were telling us would probably be, like, kind of out of date because they were coming from a, you know, lane of doing this in the 90s or whatever the case may be. So you knew it was going to be a shift. But I think, to your point earlier, the way in which things have shifted are so vast, and having the, you know, background, having the actual, you know, time in the field and building up this into even on your own, you know, it's stress tested. But then some of the people that they put on are not. And then I think for some of these like legacy brands, when they do this and then there's backlash, or the interviews aren't right, or people not saying the thing they're supposed to say, or legally they said something, that's because they don't know what they're saying. Absolutely. But that's not their fault.
Yep.
Like, not only did you have to go to all these different classes, you know, and get the degree and all of this, you still had to go out and work and do it before you just popped up and got
an opportunity.
It's like they're not. Some people are just not ready, and that's not. I feel their fault. Like,
well, they're gonna take a check. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
If they're gonna give you a check,
say no.
Yeah. They're not. And I blame these institutions. Like, who's gonna step outside the mold and say, "Nah, we need to bring a good journalist back"? Nobody. Like, who's gonna do that? Especially when, again, if I could pay. Award season has 12 award shows, right? 12. Let's just say that. Award show in LA award season has like about 12 shows altogether, right? I could pay Leah $70,000 a year to be my correspondent who's going to do every red carpet. Okay? Or I could pay Alandria $3,000 here. I could pay maybe somebody who really just needs a check. Glorilla's sister, $1,500 here. Child. But no. But you feel me?
I get it.
And you start adding it up, and at the end of the year, that's $30K.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
not even. That's not even. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's easier for them to do that financially than it is to invest in an actual journalist. If I can pay you ping, and it's less than 70, why would I do that?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just so unfortunate. And I feel like when you were at the space where it's like, okay, so now you got this call, and then you did on the same day come to the internet and let us know. What I loved is that it didn't, from the outside looking in, look like you missed a beat. Like, you immediately started right back up promoting yourself, your brand, saying, okay, you know, this is what I was doing with the radio station, but now this is also me. You've been here how long now?
2 months.
I've seen you like almost every day doing something. So, you know, it's like, and I do think that the good thing is like you said, because this is your home and this is like people will rally around you.
Yeah.
But I do feel that there are some people who, if that would have happened to them, they would have been stagnant. You know, they would have really been the gut punch that might have set them back. And I don't feel like that happened for you.
Well, I love the appearance of social media for you to feel that way. I don't feel that way. I feel like this last year of my life, I've had ebbs and flows. I've had days where I was like, ooh, I can do this. I've had days. Let's be clear. When I left Ohio you know, I had, right before I left Ohio and before I got laid off, I had come to, shout out to Sean Anthony. He is a personality in Columbus, but he's an OG. He's been in the DMV before actually as well, but he's done radio in quite a few markets. And Sean at the time was over the Ohio Media School where I taught shortly after I got laid off. But Sean had come up to me and was like, yo, I think you need a podcast. Now, I had a podcast with Candace Dillard Bassett, and that podcast made me not necessarily want to do another per se, not because of anything that happened between us, but it's a lot of fucking work. And I just was like, that's a lot of mapping out that I don't necessarily want to do at the moment. And so he was like, yo, you need a podcast. You can shoot it at the media school. Like, you know, come on, I got you. And I was like, I don't know about that. So, you know, I kind of froze on the offer, but he was like, okay, well, it's always there. Then when I did that fast, that was when I was like, you know what? I need to really share with people what has happened during my time in Ohio, because people don't know why things have kind of cooled off for me. So maybe I need to do that. So I came back to Sean and I was like, we had a meeting a week before that about me shooting it there. I got laid off the next week and I said, wow, okay. So clearly I need to go forth with this podcast. So I put all this time, energy, money, found a crew, you know, we shot it. I edited everything by myself. And I worked hard as hell on this podcast. And I was very vulnerable on this podcast. I shared a lot of stuff that typically is not really my brand, which might be also some of the reason that this adverse effect happened. But I worked so hard on this podcast. And when it came out, I mean, it was crickets. It was crickets. I mean, and also with my brand being so popular, I just assumed there'd be a natural turnover. Like if I put it out, people would, But no, that was not what happened. And so it was humbling as hell, but it also made me question myself. Like, I'm like, can I do this by myself? Like, you know, if I do, because here's the thing about Leah's Lemonade. I love Leah's Lemonade. I love interviewing celebrities, and I love interviewing people in general because I like connecting with people. That's really the base of the brand. Like, I think that's why I do really well interviews, because I like to connect with people and learn more about people. And so I love that brand. But Leah's Lemonade, at its conception, was never meant to be something 10 years later that I was still doing. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. But I did learn from a radio personality that, like, when people love you for something, go with that. So that's why she stayed around as long as she has. But with that said, I felt like at that time, once the show was over and once the radio thing had you know, I had to sever ties, I was like, okay, maybe this is the time that we see Leah Henry, not just Leah's Lemonade. There's a difference. And so, you know, the podcast was me taking a step towards that. And when it flopped, I was like, oh, maybe people really don't want me. Maybe they just want, like, interviews, and they want me to just talk to celebrities. Like, ooh, is my value not in me being able to be a good personality, or is it based upon who I sit across from? And so that was something that I, like, really wrestled with last year, because I was like, maybe people don't care about me.
But see, I don't want you to confuse me and think that, like, everything on the internet was, like, great. I say that it is appearing to be good because you're still going.
Yeah,
like, most people, like,
they stop.
Like,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
didn't stop.
I didn't.
And
but
you keep trying.
I keep trying. But point being is like, even the appearance of that, while I was still going, I was behind the scenes questioning everything. Like, last year, I spent a lot of time wondering, because for clarity, I stayed in Columbus till May, really the end of May. Top of June, I moved back to Texas. I lived with my mom. I lived at home with my mother for 6 months, okay? And that was challenging. Not because at first it felt cute. At first, it was like summer camp.
I'm home, mama.
Yeah, like, it felt like I was home from college. Like, I was with my cousins. I have a huge family. Like, I got to spend time with kids. I got to go to football games, stuff that I had never got to do living here, right? So it did feel good at first.
Right.
But I say around August, when everybody went back to school and stuff stopped being fun, that's when I really had like a crisis internally. Like, I was like, what the hell am I doing?
Okay,
I'm sitting at my mama's house. Right. I ain't got no full-time job. Like, what am I doing? And so that was I think August to about October. I was really mentally in the trenches. I was not okay. Like, I was functioning, but not well. Like, I was really trying to figure out, like, what the hell am I about to do with my life? And in September, I took a fast from social media. So I Silent September is what I was calling it.
Ooh, I
but
like that.
Well, and also because I've worked in media so long, I never really got the opportunity to just turn my phone off.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's changed how I engage with social media too. It still feels like a chore now. But it was so refreshing because one thing about social media is it can be a blessing. It's blessed my career, but it also can be a curse because you're constantly inundated what you think everybody else is doing. And the crazy thing is I know so many media personalities. You know, I talk to them, you know, on the phone, and I will hear their stories about their struggles and what they got going on. And then you get on social media and it looks like another thing. So that's why I said that, because social media is about perception. And I learned that early in my career. I learned that very early in my career. You could be at a concert on a stage for 5 seconds. I can make that 5 seconds look lit as hell. And everybody in my comments goes, oh man. But if you were in the room, you know I was only there for 5 seconds, but that doesn't matter because social media perceived I hosted that event, I tore the stage down, and that was it.
Right.
So perception is everything, is my point.
I am learning how people perceive me every day, and I want to make it very clear for anyone who is going to call me, ask me for any money. I don't have it.
Okay.
I don't know why everybody think that I'm rich.
Okay.
But I'm not a rich person.
Okay.
I'll tell you off camera just how rich people think that I am, and I was like, oh, no, ma'am.
That's cute. Right.
Y'all so funny.
That's cute.
But you know, I mean, I think, and like you said, it's like a part of the job, right? And for better or for worse, it kind of sticks with you. And, and I do also agree, like, for me, I just feel like I'm just scrolling on my phone and I'm bored. Like, I don't actually enjoy this task, you know? It doesn't really do anything for me, but for certain elements of what I have to do, I have to know what's going on.
Right.
And when you are completely shut out, you're like, oh, I don't know
refreshing.
that. But if you're asked about it, you can't say as the media personality, oh, I
don't know.
I
can't. I'm not abreast about what I should be talking about. Let me tell you this. In September is when Charlie Kirk died. And I remember I was off of social media, and I knew nothing about, like, I didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was.
Right.
I had seen videos of him prior and didn't know that was his name, but, like, I didn't know who he was. So I was texting this girl, and she was like, hey, I haven't seen you on social media. Like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm just taking a little fast. And she's like, well, that's great because this Charlie Kirk shit is crazy and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I have no idea what you're, like, what are you talking about? And she's like, it's this thing and this guy got killed and now everybody's online being racist. And when she said that, I said, ooh, I'm so glad I don't have to ingest that energy because, like, you know, going to Howard, it makes you a low-key baby Black Panther. And so
I know.
I can easily be enraged by racism and inequality. And so when she said that, I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God I'm not like, because when you're like, for real, we as a society have to go touch grass.
Yeah.
Because, like, everything is in a bubble on social media. In real life, like, I still lived my life. I ate food. I saw the people I loved during that time. Meanwhile, people on the phone having internet wars about race. And meanwhile, I'm outside not knowing that white people hate Black people this week more than usual. You know what I mean? I had no idea because I was off of social media. Right. So, I don't know. We have to, like, one thing about it is, like, even now, I'm trying to slowly creep back in. Like, when people ask me, like, Leah, what are you doing since you've been back? I'm slowly getting into things. I'm not rushing because I enjoy the balance. I enjoy having slow mornings. That's one of my favorite things that I've enjoyed. I didn't realize that first of all, I stay up very late. That's just the insomniac in me. And I've never been a morning person, but I realized how much peace I have and how much more well-balanced I am when I can wake up, take a second, lay there, you know, look at an email, put my phone back, maybe go back to sleep, wake up, get some things done. Like, I've just found a new pace of my peace, and I really enjoyed that. So getting back into it already has, like, I'm starting to feel the dysregulation in my body already, and I'm like, here we go. But yeah, I mean, I think social media, we have to get serious about perception, because social media will really have you thinking something that's not real is real.
Now, you were talking about that, and you were saying, like, when people were talking about, okay, what have you done since you've been back? Well, you are back.
Yeah.
So, okay, you were at your mother's house, you were in Texas, like, fuck am I doing with my life? And then what happened, and what was the switch, and what was the voice that said, okay, I'm going to go back to D.C., And then when I get to DC, this is what I want to do.
So I was sitting at my mom's house and I got to a point where I was like, okay, this ain't it. This ain't it. But like I've always been a full-time job girly, and then I can hustle around it. That's always been me. I like PTO. I like to go on vacation and be paid.
That's why I work.
Okay?
I don't know why everybody else work. I work to go on vacation.
Okay. Like I like the stability of knowing where my bills are coming from. Yeah. Shout out to Raven Pears. She is another media personality and she's a good friend of mine. But Raven used to always be like, girl, just be freelance. I was like, girl, I can't do that. I like insurance. I like
Healthcare.
Stuff. There are people who, you know, the freelance life is for, and then there are people who, like me, I just need a job. And then I can hustle and finesse it any way I need to after that. I'm not above working hard. So I didn't want to come back to the DMV, one, because it's so expensive here. Very. Very expensive here. And even just in 3 years, inflation has been insane. But I didn't want to come back without a job because I just felt like, this is a beast of a place to try to figure it out, right? Yeah. And one day I was watching Pastor Mike Jr., shout out to my pastor. I was watching a sermon about comfort zones. And he talked about how sometimes Christians will use comfort as pretending to be obedient. Mm-hmm. Like we think because we're comfortable that we're aligned with what God is telling us to do. And really, God is telling us to go. Right. But we're too busy trying to be comfortable. And it convicted me. He talked about how the verse was based on how like God told Abraham to leave his father's home, and that specific line really felt like leave your mother's home. Right. And it convicted me, and I just cried the whole sermon, and I was like, okay, I gotta go back. Like I felt that very strongly. And the thing is like I had friends who had been like, we're gonna go back to DC, and I was like, I'm not going back. And then also, I think I'll be honest, I think it was a little pride too. Yeah. Because I think because I just had like a larger than life career here, coming back here with no plan and felt insane. Yeah. I think I knew that people would anticipate what I was doing back. Right. Or they assumed I was going to be with somebody. Even when I announced I was coming back, everybody thought I was going back to KYS. I'm not working at KYS. Everybody thinks I'm working there. You know what I mean? People thought that I had this grand scheme and plan when in reality, I just heard God clear and said, get. You know what I'm saying? And even from being back, some of the things that have come my way, I realized that like, I had to get back here in order to fulfill. So, you know, I feel like it was God for real. Like, because I had no plans to come back here and struggle. Right. That was not my plan. But one, I've learned on this entire journey the last year is God is provision. He has kept me. You know, even not having a full-time job for a full year, but being able to pay my bills, every bill, I ain't missed a bill. I ain't borrowed no money. I ain't been like God is good. So I'm grateful for that. And if he can do that, imagine what he can do in a place he told me to go. Yeah. So that's kind of why I came back, and, you know, I'm just figuring it out. Like, I don't have an answer. I think, you know, people want me to, like, it sounds good to say, oh, yes, I have so much up my sleeve and I'm doing so many things. But no, I'm taking it a day at a time and I'm figuring it out. And, you know, I think people are still really figuring out that I'm still here. Like, I met a girl last night. She's like, you look just like Leah Henry. And I was like, I am Leah Henry. And she was like, girl, you back. And I was like, yeah, ma'am. Yeah. I thought she was going to say.
Was she drinking?
No. She came up to me. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I keep looking at you.
Staring at you.
Yeah. And I was like, what? And she's like, you look like somebody. And I just knew she was going to say Lizzo. Because everybody tried to say I look like Lizzo. And it irritates me.
You do not look like Lizzo.
I do not look like Lizzo. So I just knew she was going to say that.
You do not look like Lizzo. Sorry. That you don't look like her. You can't tell
TikTok that, honey. They ate me up.
I told TikTok, look like her.
I told TikTok that everybody says that. And they were like, you do look like her. And I was like, okay, next. So it was like hundreds of comments. But anyway. Fine. So when she was like, you look like somebody, and I think she could see how irritated I already was because I just knew she was going to say Lizzo. So I was like, and she was like, you do look like somebody, but she was like, let me say this. She's really pretty. And I was like, true. Lizzo's pretty. Okay, whatever. Like, okay, cool. And then she was like, you look like, and I heard and I knew she was going to say Lizzo. And she was like, and she was like, Leah Henry. I was like, oh, wait, no, girl.
That's me.
That's me. I'm her. She's me. So
I am her.
Yeah, but she's like, girl, I didn't know you were back. So again, I think people are really learning that, like it just hasn't, you know, most people don't know that. So I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to get back into the things. Like I said, I'm easing into things. I'm not, you know, jumping ahead of the gun and trying to do too much. I'm just literally in the space and like, you know, letting it flow.
That's amazing for you, though. I mean, because especially when you say, like, you've been in that field, and I don't really know if people understand, like, from TV, personalities and journalists to radio personalities. That is a everyday
grind.
Yeah. And it is not a holiday thing. Like, oh, yeah, you want to be on vacation or you want to be home on the weekend. Well, guess what? The news happens on the weekends, too.
Yep.
It is round the clock work. So I can only imagine constantly, you said like 13 years or something like from of just that.
Yeah.
And not ever having a real true break.
Yeah, and I took the last year as that. Like, okay, this is it. And like I said, on the other hand of me questioning everything, I'm so grateful for the time. I'm so grateful that I got to go to my godson's choir concert while he's still in high school. You know what I mean? I'm so grateful I got to go to football games and yell in the stands. They could hear me and be embarrassed. Like, you know what I mean? Those are things that you don't get back.
Yeah.
And so I was that portion of being home was probably like the sweetest part for me. Because, like, I love my family. I'm a big family girl. So it's, like, nice to be able to, like, go home, be a part of my family in real time. Because, like, holidays is one thing. Going and being there for selective things is another one. But, like, getting to see the babies and, like, the babies getting to know me. Like, I got a little niece named Maya. And she's always like, Leah. But, like, we wouldn't have done that over FaceTime, So that was a very sweet time for me, for sure. So I can appreciate the good and the bad. I think that's what this whole thing has taught me. There is a blessing and lesson in everything. So the way you view it is how you conceptualize it and you live through it, So that's where I'm at. I'm like, I can see both sides.
Well, I mean, I love that. And I think that is like, I had another question, but I feel I like that statement. And I want us to end there. I do. Like, I like that. Like, I felt like that was like the perfect way to end. And for me, I just want to say, from being in school with you and seeing all the things that you've like continued to do, and I'm sure all the things that you're going to do in the future that we don't even know yet, it is truly an inspiration. And I'm so happy that you were able to come on today and share this story with me and with the people at home who will watch this, because I do feel, like you said, the perception of things are one thing, and then not really knowing what's going on. And then even if everyone knew everything was going whatever way, this can let them know, like, hey, I'm still figuring it out. You're figuring it out. We can figure it out together, We in this thing together. We are in it together. And with that, I would like to say, please let everyone know where they can follow and keep up with this journey, because, like I said, amazing things are coming.
Yes.
And everyone who's sat on this couch, sat in my stool, sat in this studio, has had some sort of goal or something that they want to achieve. And I'm telling you, a month later, if that, I've gotten calls from every single person like, remember what I said I wanted to do on your show? Yeah, we did it.
Ooh, this is a manifestation.
And I was like, now, I'm telling you, I was like, and I wish I was joking. I mean, like, almost every person I have interviewed who has some sort of goal in mind that they share, even if they don't share, they'd have it in mind, it happens. So that, I'm excited for that call from you in a month or so. Okay. And then for everyone else, let them know where they can follow you on this journey.
Girl, I'm over here thinking about my goal now. I'm trying to make sure I manifest it while I'm sitting on the couch and the camera rolling. Well, people can follow me and keep up with me at Leah A. Henry. That's Leaha Henry on all of my social media platforms and my YouTube. I'm trying to think of a goal. I want to say something because I do believe there is power in the tongue. So I'm trying to think. I do know I want to get Leah's Lemonade revved up again. I do want some viral interviews in my pocket. I do want another season of my podcast. I think a lot of fear has stopped me from wanting to pursue that, but I do think that the conversations I was having on that platform were important. So I want to do another season of Okay and with Leah. And then hopefully some PTO and some benefits, child. I'm ready for a J-O to the B. Okay, a high-paying J-O to the B, in fact. And yeah, and a man. Amen. Mm-hmm.
You heard that?
Healthy man. Healthy.
Yeah, not any man.
Okay, not any man.
A good man,
okay,
Savannah.
Good man. A good man, Savannah.
A good man.
A spender, Savannah. A provider, Savannah. Okay, well, I'm playing now.
And with that, thank you. And thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Tori Talk and chilling with me in the lounge. And until next time, thank you all so much.
Cheers.
Bye.